Hi, I'm Kat, marketer turned brand storyteller,
And I'm Candice, educator turned entrepreneur.
and you're listening to
Not nice, clever.
We're two introverts who speak on stages around the country and work with top personal brands who also unapologetically require 24 to 48 hours of recovery time on the couch in our favorite sweats. All Netflix and no chill.
And to be clear, we're not quiet or nice. Together, we're redefining what it means to be an introvert who means business. It's time to show up and show off. Are you in? In today's episode of Not Nice Clever, we're talking about finding your niche. I know this one is going to be controversial because people feel differently about having a niche, but here at Not Nice Clever, we absolutely believe that you need to know who you're talking to and you need to know who your people are. So we'll start by defining. Kat, can you tell us what is a niche?
So, two different definitions. We're going to level set with you guys here. One, if it's being used as a noun, right? Like, what is your niche in the business world? What is your niche in your marketing? So, a niche is defined as a place or a position suitable or appropriate for a person or a thing. So, key words there is that it's suitable for you, that it matches you, that it is aligned with you, and it's a particular place, right? It's not everywhere, it's not all over the place. And then the adjective, this is what we really like and we're going to hone in on today, is that it means that it's pertaining to or intended for a specific market niche. It has specific appeal. So if something is niche, it is specific, it is not broad. And so we just wanted to, before we, come at you with all the hot and spicy takes that you guys know and love us for so much, level set with that. And I think the one analogy I want to share before we start diving into how to define, or really not define, but uncover your niche, is my favorite analogy. So you guys know I'm born and raised in California. So is Candice. You know, California drivers up and down the 405, the 24 in the Bay Area. It's crazy, right? So if you think about this, like when you have a niche, it is the equivalent of you driving in your own lane and staying in your own lane instead of being that asshole that's changing lanes constantly, swiping from one lane to the next. And you're like, oh my God, do you think you're actually going to get to your destination sooner? And you're actually creating more gridlock by doing that. So, as we like to say, there's no traffic if you're in your own lane that's made for you, by you, and that's where defining your niche starts. So, Candice, it's time for you to put on your investigative hat here because you've got some great recommendations.
Yes. Before I dive into some recommendations, I want to note that people often have pushback when we encourage them to find a niche because it's easy to believe that if you niche down, that you are leaving out opportunities for business. The truth is that's not true.
Yeah,
the
that's
truth
fake.
is that's false.
Fake news.
That's fake. Fake news. What happens when you identify your niche is that people within that niche really understand that you are for them.
Mm-hmm.
When you define your niche, you start getting those DMs like, was that real about me? Were you talking about me in that Instagram story? Was that post about me? And no, that post was not directly about you. I just know my people so well that people feel like it's about them. When you have a niche, they'll be so excited to share you with one another, with their friends who are similar to them. So you're not leaving business out, you're actually gaining more traction within that specific market. So the first thing I want you to do if you're having trouble finding your niche is to look back at your past clients. Why? Because there are clues in your clients. Write that one down. There's clues in your clients. Think to yourself, what do my past clients have in common? Which one of those past clients did you actually enjoy working with? And what are those similarities between the people that you enjoyed working with? What drew those people to you? Are there similarities in your stories? Are there similarities in your experiences or upbringing that made that transaction or that partnership appealing to you, that made it go smoothly?
Yes.
Let me tell you about one of my clients, Marie. She is probably listening right now. Hi, Marie.
Hello.
She is a former educator like myself, and her husband is also an educator. He's a high school teacher. When Marie left education to pursue her real estate career, she had to think about who she wanted to work with. And she was passionate about helping teachers in California, where she lives, buy homes. And she was passionate about making sure they understood that there was opportunities for teachers. There's different down payment assistant programs made specifically for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the ways that she honed in her marketing to talk specifically to her niche, teachers, is by starting a program called the Teacher Give Back Program. With the Teacher Give Back Program, for everyone who purchases a house with her, she lets them nominate a teacher, and that teacher receives $400 for their classroom to buy supplies.
Mm.
The great thing about it is it's really given her a lot of fodder for her content and is given back to her community.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are now talking about her because she shares who was nominated. She shares videos of the gifts that they receive and what they chose for their classroom. And people are excited to support because it's not only buying a house, but it's also giving back to the community that likely serves their children as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really full circle. Another thing she's doing is she is taking a like Costco sheet cake birthday cake every month to the school, and it's for the teachers. So anyone who has their birthday in the month of April knows that on, I don't know, April 1st,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be cake in the teachers lounge, and there's probably going to be some swag from her and a sign that says, "Hey, teacher give back program."
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a teacher or not, there's an opportunity to give back.
I love this so much because, again, like going back to what a niche is and making sure that it has specific appeal and making sure that it makes sense for you. Of course, Marie, who's a former educator, would come up with a program like that because she herself were in the shoes of being a teacher and she wasn't a homeowner once upon a time and now found her way through that journey and now helps other people overcome and achieve the same things. And like when you want to think about content or, growing your business, there's a lot to do. There's so many things you could do. There's so many different directions you could go, but just starting simply with that common ground and those connection points that you have with your clients is such a good place to start because like we're saying, and I'll say it again and double down on what Candice was saying about it being a myth that you're going to leave business on the table. The more specific you are, the more deep your marketing, the more inch wide, a mile deep, as we like to say, the stronger you'll be. And I think another misnomer that a lot of people have, and maybe they're thinking like, okay, Kat, okay, Candice, it's easy. You guys get to choose who you want to do business with. That's a luxury. I need to just get clients ASAP. I need leads. I need business tomorrow. And okay, yes, maybe you're in that situation because you're trying to talk to everybody and nobody feels like you're actually speaking to them. And another thing I'll say, like to give our clever crew a little bit of a break here, not too much though, because we like to aim high.
We're not
We're
nice.
not nice, y'all. Is that we understand, like Candice and I work a lot in mindset with our clients. Like we see growth create crisis and it creates a lot of mindset opportunities. And one thing that I've learned is that we tend to see ourselves the least clearly. But we love it when we see ourselves reflected in others, especially when we notice like common ground and common interests are illuminated in others. I'll go back to this story, which is so wild. Like it's now almost a year ago at the time of us recording this, where we went to this conference Forward in July, and the first speaker of the day gets up on the stage. And Candice, his name is Christo. If you've heard of him, if you haven't, definitely look him up.
And check out our episode with him. We'll drop it in the show notes.
And we're about to film a follow-up episode with him as well on how introverts can stand out in business. So you guys will definitely want to catch that. But I remember he wasn't even like 7 minutes into his keynote.
Not even.
All he had to do was make a Spider-Man reference and say, hey, there's going to be a lot of Marvel references throughout this keynote. And I turned to Kate, I was like, we have to have him on the podcast. We have to. I didn't even know his credentials. I didn't even know he was Emmy Award winning. I didn't even know any of this. I was like, Marvel, Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
She was in.
I'm in.
Sold.
Sold.
Brand crush.
Brand crush. Yes. Find yourself brand crushes, y'all. And that is the part of Chris's niche. He's a mentor who helps creative build businesses, but he's also a nerd. He's also an introvert.
Well, it makes so much sense, right? Because other creatives are also nerds.
Yes,
I realized when we went to the podcast conference, I was
we
like,
did realize
oh,
this.
everyone here is nerdy, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow,
We see ourselves reflected in others, guys.
exactly. It makes so much sense that Chris would hone in on using superhero references throughout his talks
Mm-hmm.
because of who he's talking to. He knows his audience well because he is his audience. He was his audience, right?
Yeah. This is another good thing about how it can demonstrate that your niche can not limit you, right? But it gives you a starting point, a jumping off point. So the reason I resonated so much with his Spider-Man references and Marvel references was because I loved going to the movies and I loved watching the Marvel movies. So like the first Marvel movie came out in 2009. It was Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. I mean, talk about a comeback and a rebrand, right? And 2009 was the same year that I should have been, whatever, starting college after attending school and getting straight A's and doing all these things. But the crash happened, college fund out the window. I had to pivot and get a job. And at the time, the Marvel movies were like an escape for me. And I could just get lost in the stories. I could go to the movies and forget about the reality of my situation for a couple hours. And also, like, root for the heroes and see the heroes triumph over the villains. And even if our country couldn't triumph over the economic collapse, at least I could see Iron Man crushing it. And all of this, guys, like that, the stories that I'm sharing right now, I'm probably thinking about all of this in split seconds unconsciously as I'm watching Christo on stage make a Spider-Man reference.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the connective tissue between Chris and I. And I will always say, if anybody is a creative and wants to learn how to build a business, go talk to Christo, go follow Christo. If you are introverted, nerdy, have a flair for fashion and are Asian American, like go talk to Chris. He's your people. He understands you, right?
Yep.
And it's so powerful. And I'm not a creative. I mean, I am, but I'm in an adjacent
She is.
industry. Thank you. So it can expand, but it starts with going deep first and foremost.
The Cliff Notes version on that for someone who is like, okay, but what does that mean for me? Because
Okay.
they're not where you are yet,
True.
Kat,
Okay.
in the understanding and like that web that you just went
Mm-hmm.
through.
I did go deep there,
It's
didn't I?
deep.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. And that demonstrates your true understanding of brand.
Yeah.
But if you're a novice,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say hone in on your brand crushes.
Mm,
Choose 3.
I like this.
The people you have a crush on and find out what are their common traits.
Mm,
What are they talking about? How are they delivering their message? Who are they talking to? Which problems are they solving? Because that's probably going to inform a little about you
mm-hmm.
and what message you want to convey and how you want to convey it and who you want to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for reeling me back there. I was getting very, very deep.
No, we need
We
both,
do.
okay?
We
We
do.
need to go deep and we need that baby step for the
Right.
person who's not where you're at.
And then the deep end. Yeah.
You're out there building your personal brand and you also have a team relying on you. But if your people don't know how to fish for themselves, the burden of new business always falls on you. Ouch, no thanks.
The opportunity we see, teach your team how to generate their own business.
The result, more time and energy back in your day so you can scale sans burnout.
Amplify by Not Nice Clever is the ace up your sleeve, a hands-on workshop full of replicable frameworks and actionable strategies that your team can put in place right away.
Your job? Sit back and let us work our magic.
Even CEOs need help sometimes. We've got you. Head to our show notes to get the deets. #outsourced. Looking at your brand crushes, so great. Like another brand crush of mine that I have is actually Ryan Reynolds, because he is a self-ascribed introvert, an actor, but now an investor and loves investing in companies that he can really take and scale. And they're in his interests. Like he loves to drink gin. He loves a
Mhm.
good time. And so he invested in aviation gin. He wanted to bring connectivity to the people and to challenge the bigger guys because, you know, maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder. That's okay. I also do too. So he had Mint Mobile. Oh, and even, yes, peripherally Deadpool and the DC universe. So I couldn't get too far away from that. But
I knew it was
oh,
coming. I'm sorry,
it's
guys.
okay. But I think it's important, like, okay, if you're listening right now, write down, do not just like think about it. Like, write down 3 brand crushes and go through those questions that Candice just walked you through. And I think also, like, do some research on their backstories. Like, are there things in common with your lives and your life stories? Like,
Mhm.
this is one thing I love about personal branding specifically, is that it allows you to like look at your life and really notice like those major milestones, right? Like, when did you get fired?
Yep.
When did you become a parent?
Yeah.
And then also seek those commonalities in other people, right?
Yep. I was on a consultation the other day with a lender who was telling me about how, she's a homeowner now and she's one of the first people in her family to own a home.
Mhm.
And that she was passionate about helping people be able to become homeowners, specifically people who don't think home ownership is for them.
Mm.
Because when she was in college, she never saw herself as a homeowner. She thought my credit score is too bad and,
Mm.
my parents didn't own a home and everyone around me are renters and
Right.
people around me are saying, "Oh, home ownership is so hard and so challenging
It's not
and,
for
why
us.
would
Yeah.
it's not for us." Yeah, that's only for rich people
Mhm.
is the basic messaging, right?
Yeah.
And when she realized, even with her not so great credit score, she could actually qualify to buy not her dream home, but a home,
Mhm.
she decided that she would do it. And I think she's about 5 years or so into home ownership.
Mhm.
And she was telling me, it wasn't my dream home, but I had so much equity in my home in just 5 years that I was able to pull out some money and make my dream backyard. And so we're baby stepping our way to, she will be able to, in a few years, buy another home
Yeah.
that's closer to her dream home because instead of paying $36,000 a year in rent,
Mhm.
she is building equity in that home that will now serve as the basis for her family and their livelihood for generations to come, literally. And
Mhm.
her daughters that she has will one day inherit a home,
Yeah.
which she never had the opportunity to do. And so she's literally changing lives of her and her family members because now she has a story to tell other people in her family. Look, this is what I was able to do. And she's passionate about helping people because of her situation, her story, and how pushing past some of the hurdles and even mindset hurdles that she had, she was able to change the trajectory of her life.
So inspiring. And I think another like myth that we've already busted on the podcast, but I it bears repeating because repetition is the mother of all skill, is that when you niche down and start to write down your brand crushes and look at your clients and look for those clues and ask those questions, where's the common ground? Where are these patterns, right, that keep on arising around me? You're going to realize that the firmer and the clearer that you get in that, the more clear it will be that you're not for certain people too, which is
Right.
okay. Because I think I was listening on a podcast one time. This was like a relationship therapist talking about how she doesn't believe when couples say they never fight, because then she asks, do they ever like get intimate? Because like they go hand in hand. And it's like, you're going to have haters, you're going to have fans, but that's all good, because the people who are for you will remember you. They'll preach you. They'll send you business. They'll do anything for you because you connected with them on a human level, a deep level, a common ground level, and you see them, you get them. It's not just like
Yep.
a follower, but like truly a human being, a connection.
One fear that a lot of people have about creating content specifically for their niche is that they're leaving people out or that their
Mm.
content is going to be in some way controversial because people have differing opinions.
Mm.
And I was talking to some of the participants in the content lab this morning about the idea of like, oh, I don't want to talk about that because some people aren't going to like that.
Mm.
And I thought about a PR reference where there's no bad publicity.
True.
It's kind of the same thing. If you take a stance on your Instagram
Mm-hmm.
that might be controversial to some people,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have haters go off in the comments, I almost don't care because now you have more engagement
Yeah.
And you have what you'll notice is that people who have your back will take care of those people. You don't even have to,
Seriously. I remember there
right?
was somebody who had made a comment. Well, and the caveat before I go into share that example is like if those comments, those trolls, those haters, the shit means nothing about you. Like
No.
you putting that out there is their opportunity to maybe learn something about them and attempt to evolve as humans, not your responsibility. But I remember somebody had made a comment about you and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I was like, we're stuck in the 1950s. What's going on here?
So I had a reel go viral a couple months ago, and it's me on stage talking about personal branding. And the comment said something along the lines of, "There's a whole lot of motivational talk going on. I hope dinner still gets made." I was like, "Ooh, excuse me? I hope dinner still gets made?"
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to say anything
Hmm.
because the clever crew came through, my followers came through, and were like, "What the heck? What year is this? Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And responded to that comment swiftly.
Yes. As the Swifties would. I remember I had said something like, no, I had responded to it, but I didn't even address him. I just tagged you. I was like, the irony is if he had commented on one of my reels, he would have been right because I don't cook in our family. Because that's why I'm with a chef.
Yeah.
And the deeper irony is that yes, dinner probably is on the table because Candace loves to cook and she
I
fucking
love cooking.
finds ways to do it all. She delegates that shit. She's efficient as fuck and she's in her like mob wife era and she handles it. And of course, he comments on your reel.
I know. I specifically told Dom I'm not even gonna say that I did cook you dinner because I just hate that he commented that at
Yeah,
all.
but that's the
Because the
irony.
only reason
Yeah.
the only reason I did cook Dom dinner is because I fucking felt like it, and if
Yeah.
I don't, then he knows, then
Y'all,
that's
you
it.
guys know Candace. I know I can't get Candace to do anything she does
Right.
not want to do, and vice versa. Like, good luck.
And he knows that
He
well.
does.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will piss
That was
people off.
funny,
It was funny, but
and
again,
that's okay.
it is. Like you keeping your opinion to yourself doesn't mean somebody's going to like you more. And
Mm.
right? You keeping your
Mhm.
opinion to yourself doesn't mean somebody's going to like you more. You still have that opinion whether or not you voice it. It just feels better when you voice it. Obviously, intentionally, strategically, and from a good place because you don't want to like just put shit out into the world and then that's karma biting you in the ass. But you saying that and then somebody reacting that way, that's on them. That's their shit. There's an unfollow button, there's a mute button. They have all of the power and the tools in the world to not be exposed to your brand and your content if they don't want to. And they're adults, I would hope. So
Yeah.
again, focus on like your responsibility to yourself, your business,
Mhm.
understand, remember why you're here, and just don't feed the animals. Let other people take them out, just move on.
Yep.
Ugh, that was a funny
So
situation. He also had a private profile and like
he did, of course.
12
They always
posts.
do.
Seriously. I'm like,
I
the
know. They
courage.
always do.
Okay, I'll also acknowledge this. The courage it takes for you guys to put yourselves out there, we see that. We appreciate that. The right
Mhm.
people know the courage it takes to be public and to have a public opinion. We don't take that lightly. We don't want you to stop doing it either, but we acknowledge it takes courage.
And just like anything, this is about ROI.
Mhm.
What you get back from putting yourself in that situation, putting yourself out there, is going to be so much greater
Yeah.
than what happens if you don't.
Mhm.
And so we're always thinking about that. Like from a business perspective,
Mhm.
you will get more return when you invest in putting yourself out there.
Agreed. And unlike diamonds, niches are not forever and they can evolve and they can change because you're a human. And if we're talking in the lens of personal branding, not like corporate branding like Nike or Coca Cola or Apple, your niche can evolve. That's okay. You reserve the right. Well, I reserve the right to change my mind anytime for any reason. I'm not going to lane hop like a
She's always said
psycho,
that.
but I will maybe make a strategic, I'll turn on my blinker, be like, by the way, guys, this is what I'm doing now. You game? Cool? No? All right, awesome. All good too.
Right. The people who want to stay will, and the people who don't won't. And that's okay because you're just building a strong group of people who support where you're going.
Yes.
So, last notes for people who are trying to uncover their personal brand, what would you say? Their niche specifically?
I would say, yeah, look at those brand crushes, look at those past clients. What's the pattern? That's probably your current niche. And then once you identify that, you can decide if that's where you want to stay and hang out, or if you want to pivot and you want to elevate into a different niche. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Kat. Appreciate that. If you know someone who needs to listen to this episode today, please share, leave a 5-star review if you haven't already, and Clever Crew, we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow our podcast wherever you listen to audio.
And if you found today's episode valuable, please share it with your friends.
No gatekeeping here. Remember, we love to see our Clever Crew grow.
Signing off, you're not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.